Welcome to MuscleCar. We're about ready to go out and find a victim for old blue hair to abuse. But before we do that, I gotta tell you where we've been. In the last few weeks, we wired up that carbureted GM LS364 to a computerized controller from Fast, created a loop fuel system to avoid unwanted pressure buildup, beefed up the rear end with an Eaton posi unit, 411 street gears from Richmond, and carbon steel axles from Superior. We threw out the mono leaves and made some Mopar style super stock rear springs. We started with stock replacement leaf springs, shortened some of the leaves and added another one so this spring pack won't twist when we're trying to hook up. We finished up the cooling system and put a serpentine setup from Detroit Speed and Engineering, then crossed our fingers and fired it up. Just for fun, we installed some electric cutouts to hide old blue hair's temper, which we plan to unleash this week. We got a lot of work to do this week. We got to finish the driveline, put in a transmission tunnel, then tighten up the interior. But first, we got to put in a clutch. We're running a Rockland T-6 6-speed. You see a lot of these in some hot street cars. We put it in without a clutch or a pressure plate just to mock everything up. We pulled out the transmission for the last time so we can finish it. And it all starts with a good flywheel. Now, a lot of guys would use aluminum, but I'm going with steel because I'm gonna abuse the hell out of it. The factory put in an 11-inch flywheel, but I'm throwing in a 12-inch upgrade that'll give me more contact area. And if you scar it up, you can always have it resurfaced. Be sure to remove your paw prints. Use brake parts cleaner. It doesn't leave an oily film like carburetor cleaner does. McLeod hooked me up with this LS Series 100 clutch. Unlike most clutches which are made out of semi-metallic material, this one's made out of organic fibers. That means it won't throw me around between shifts, and it has all the performance of a racing clutch, but with a softer edge. This diaphragm-style pressure plate is perfect for street and track applications. This will give me more leverage, making it easier when I push in the clutch without affecting the clamping load. If your clutch and pressure plate come bolted together, it's more than likely balanced. So what I did was I marked it so I can put it back together the way it came apart. Well, my drive shaft isn't in yet, so I'm pretty much done underneath for right now. But if you guys remember, this thing was an automatic and I'm making it a stick. So I got some other work to do. We got this hydraulic clutch setup from Kiesler. It comes with everything you need, including the reservoir. But the toughest thing to put in is the pedals, so they're going in first. It's really not that complicated, it's just hard to get to. These new pedals simply use the factory brake pedal mount. All I have to do is drill the holes and attach the slave cylinder to the firewall. Mount the fluid reservoir, run hoses, and connect the clutch pedal to the slave cylinder rod. The last piece of business is the hydraulic line from the slave cylinder to the trans. Then fill the reservoir and bleed it. I'll let gravity do the work for me. The automatic to manual conversion can be a real pain in the butt. Everything from fabbing your linkage to adjusting your clutch. But with the hydraulic setup, there's far less hardware and there's almost no adjustment. Now, some of you guys at the head of the class may have realized I put this wicked clutch in my stock bell housing. A lot of you guys must be doing a similar setup because my scatter shield's on back order. So I'm temporarily using this trans blanket from RCI to keep from playing Catch the Flywheel. And now it's finally time to get rid of the Fast Freddy hole in the floor. It's time for some fabrication. Shoving this massive engine and trans in here was like putting a wetsuit on Barney. You know, that purple dinosaur. So I had to get rid of a few acres of flooring. I even had to remove a section of floor bracing to make way for the elevated drive shaft. So starting with some 1/8 thick steel, I'm making a boxed arch. This will give back the needed support and be a platform for the tin work. Ooh, that steel's hot. Ooh, don't get it. And now I can get started on the tunnel. 18 gauge gives me the strength I need, and it's flexible enough to bend it the way I want. If you don't have a slip roller like this one, use your imagination. I've made plenty of beautiful rolls with an oxygen bottle and a piece of wood. Since this tunnel welds to the floor pan, this one's gotta go. I'm bead rolling the replacement with just a little extra strength. You guys get the gist of what's going on here. While you take a break, I'm gonna keep working on the floor, and when you get back, we'll see how good the seat fits. Welcome back to the last day of our sleeper project. Here's what we did earlier. We put in a hefty clutch setup from McLeod and started a transmission tunnel for the floor. And while you were gone, we finished it off. This tunnel looks really good if I do say so myself, although I think it's a tad too tall for my bench seat. As a matter of fact, it's about 10 inches too tall. Now I could go to the junkyard and get some bucket seats, but I really want to keep that sleeper look on the inside. So I'm going to try a little experiment. I'm using some shop trash to make a jig, so I can bend the front center support. Voila! Now I'll flip it over and cut out a section of the seat frame. Yeah. Then I cut the spring frame so I can bring them up a little higher. Now remember, there's no guarantees. This is an experiment. Who said you cannot make a bench seat fit with a 10-inch transmission tunnel? With some hog rings, I'll tie a few things together. Now if the vinyl will stretch over this, we got it made. I'm gonna let Brent wrestle with that. I've gotta get on that old steering column because it's got that old automatic shift lever. This replacement for my Did It doesn't. It's a direct fit with factory plugs for the wiring. You can get these in polished aluminum, but black serves our purpose. So does the stock steering wheel. One last thing to wire up and disguise. Need I say any more? I'm about ready to finish off the interior, but before I cover all this tin work, I gotta seal it to keep the moisture out. The guys at Auto Body Color and Supply set us up with some 3M seam sealer. This stuff dries fast and lasts forever. If you remember, I mounted our fast controller on the toe board, so I made a box to keep it safe and out of sight. A little rattle can paint to seal the rest. I saved this old flooring hoping to reuse it, but that's not gonna cover that 3-story transmission tunnel. I could have ordered carpet, but that'd be too easy. I wanted to keep the stock looking floor in the car, so I decided to call Auto Custom Carpets. They've been in the game for over 25 years and they're the largest supplier of automotive carpeting. And I knew they would have what I needed to do my floor. We'll start by gluing in the supplied padding to reduce the noise and the heat. Then it's just a simple matter of getting it into place and trimming it to fit. No need to glue. The door sills will keep it where you want it. I'm thrilled we were able to keep this bench seat, because short of the shifter, you can't get any closer to a stock look than this. One last thing, pine of course. And later on in the show, old Blue Hair's gonna leave the beauty shop. In the late 60s, AMC had no muscle on the streets, and they had to scramble to get one done. And when it was all put together, they called it what else? The Scrambler.
This week's MuscleCar Flashback, the '69 Scrambler.
Even in the nicest neighborhoods, you never know what kind of dangerous beast might be lurking in the garage, just waiting to strike. How about a 315 horsepower 390 in a car the size of a Honda Civic? AMC took the direct approach to performance back in '69. Their largest engine crammed into a small car. Plain Jane on the inside, painted like a circus wagon on the outside. In 1 year, AMC offered the SC Scrambler with 2 different war paint schemes. Between that and the wicked Ram Air Scoop, you knew this bad boy meant business. The Scrambler's got the same 394 barrel as the Javelin and the AMX. They were real street legal race cars made to run NHRA F-style. AMC sold all 1,512 special edition Hearst SC Scramblers. By the time they hit the showroom floors, they were sold.
Are we ready?
Mike Lewis bought and sold 5 Scramblers before he found the one he wanted to keep.
It's strictly a straight line car. No pony car out of this. This is muscle car. This is not a sports car wannabe.
No air, no power controls, no nothing. Just a light body with nothing on it that didn't have to be there. Plenty of oxygen for the fuel-air mixture courtesy of that Ram Air setup. Mirrors manufactured to look identical to the ones on a '69 Hearst Olds 442. Heavy shocks and springs all the way around. Power disc brakes up front, E70x14 Goodyear polyglass with red stripes, AMX wheels, and the factory painted in blue with a rattle can. Thrush mufflers for what AMC called that special tone. And frame connectors buried in the unibody to keep that 390 from twisting everything out of shape. Inside it was all economy, till you saw the 8 grand Sun tack, and a Hearst 4-speed hooked up to a Borg Warner T10, a 354 gear in the rear end, and AMC's twin grip limited slip differential. This one's just about all original. Mike's even got the window sticker. Total price, just over 3 grand, with shipping. That was about basic Roadrunner cost for that same year. The Scrambler's not worth as much today, but AMC prices have been creeping up, and the Scrambler in top shape will bring about 30 grand. Mike says a lot of guys ask him if the Scrambler's an old Nova when he takes it to the cruise-ins. He doesn't mind explaining, but he really doesn't need to, because the Scrambler speaks pretty well for itself. Hot car, cold sales. They just didn't move very many. So they tried it later on with the Rebel. Same results. They just didn't make any money. But they did make history. We'll be back. Thanks for staying with us. We're almost done with old Blue Hair back here, but there's something that I just gotta settle. Earlier in the show, you watched me create my own floor pan. Every time I used a bead roller to strengthen a piece of sheet metal, I get these emails saying that bead rolls are strictly cosmetic. Well, let's find out. I've got 2 pieces of 16 gauge sheet metal. One of them's rolled, one of them is not. Here we go. 40, 80, 120. 160. It's going. 200 pounds. Let's see what the rolled can do. Got it nice and square. 40, 80, $120, $160, 200, 240, 250. Oh, 255, 260. I think we've proven a very important point here. Bead rolled to this point is far superior than flat. Let's see how much more we can get. 20 more to make it 280. Here we go. Placement is everything. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, thing of beauty. Bead rolled is superior. Modern science. I love it. Now, I'm no Mr. Wizard, but at least now we've got an answer to that question. It's time to get back to work. Before we go any further, this new tunnel needs some corrosion prevention. I may apply some undercoating later, but for now, this'll do. This is literally the last new part that's going on our sleeper project. The drive shaft shop hooked us up with this 3-inch aluminum one-piece unit, and it's pre-balanced. Now all that's left are some last-minute details. There's gotta be at least 100 puns I could say about what I'm doing right now to old Blue Hair, but I'm far more mature than that. Now the exhaust can go back on, including our street camo. Even though these parts are mostly new, it's better to be safe than sorry, so I'm going to lube up the whole front end. One of the most important decisions you'd make on any sleeper, more important than the driveline, is your wheel and tire combination, because they're a telltale sign of what you're packing. So I decided to go with this classic reproduction of the Corvette rally wheel from Coker Tires. My rubber selection was simple. Mickey Thompson came through with these 26x6 Sportsman SR radials for the front. The rear got a pair of these new ET Street radials, coming in at 235/60 R15s. Now I chose this wheel and tire combination for one simple reason. They accept junkyard hubcaps. These come from an 80 through 85 Malibu, and they complete the package. Well, it's done. It's loaded with a new LS2 and a 6-speed. Could it be better? Sure it could. Could it have been done differently? Yes. But this sleeper was built like a lot of you guys would have done it, on a shoestring budget. We met our main goal. You'll never know what's under the hood till it's too late. It's cold and sloppy outside, and I didn't build a toboggan. When it warms up, we'll take off old Granny's sweater and strap on her helmet. But until then, I want you guys to email PowerBlockTV.com and tell me how you would test out old Blue Hair. But for now, it's time to put Granny to bed. Until springtime. Later!